I'm hearing the story more. Bring that orange fella back. ASAP.
So, like many Americans, up until recently, I did not care about politics. Quite honestly, I didn't even vote until 2020. I've ended friendships over views that are just not okay. Why do I have a college degree and I make decent money and I'm living with family? I can't afford groceries. I can't afford my car payment. I can't afford anything. My parents have to help me, quite honestly, and I'm going to be 30 years old. I really want to know, this is my question for the people that think that this country is okay. What are you watching? What algorithm are you on to think that this country is okay? What job do you have? What do your bills look like? What is your income? Like, I really want to know. Because I am just lost. I am so confused.
Oh, look, I gotta get some. Oh. Look at that stuff. I want this. Have it. We gotta get it.
My mom just got a bag of that, actually.
Is it good stuff? Good?
She says it's the best.
Is that the best?
She says it's the best.
If it is, I'll be in Washington, D.C., hopefully in the Oval Office. I'll send for popcorn. Okay?
Appreciate that.
Oh.
Hey, gang. It's your guy of the 21st century, Nate Houseman. Let's all call you freaks and disasters and patriots. By freaks and disasters, I mean people with empathy and conscience and a sense of right and wrong who just can't seem to make it in this corrupt, fallen world. But hey, we are the movement that's going to establish God's kingdom on earth. It's going to carry out God's will. That's what God's kingdom is. It's a state of mind where we know what God wants us to do. We do it, and God acts through us. So, and one person who is definitely a general, an officer, a prince in God's kingdom is the rightful President Trump. Let's see what he has to say from his event at Madison Square Garden. The point here in this tweet from Trump War Room, we're not just running against Kamala. She means nothing. She's purely a vessel. We're running against something far bigger than Joe or Kamala, and more powerful than them, which is a massive, vicious, crooked, radical left machine that runs the state's Democratic Party. They run the Republican Party too. However, the Republican Party is undergoing an internecine populist revolution by the grassroots. The Democrats are simply unmasking. It'd be great if the Democrats had their own populist revolt, but they're just really, the Democrats were a criminal organization from the start. So strap in, dig in. We're going to be here for a while. I got so many tweets and articles to go through. If you find this content valuable, please give it a like on whatever platform you're watching this on, either Rumble, YouTube, Twitter, or Kick. Share it with people who you care about, which is probably at least 60 to 70% of the country. And click on any of the links in the description of products and services that I promote here. I got a few of them that we're going to go through. One of the ways you can support this channel financially is go to my locals page. I have exclusive content on there. I'm working on some economic news that will be an exclusive on my locals page. And locals is like a free speech version of Patreon. You can say anything on there and not get canceled. You know, if you sign up for my locals page for like $5 a month, you can view my exclusive content, and you can also join in the conversation. You can post on there and be part of a cool group. Now, from redstate.com. This is why Donald Trump's McDonald's visit was a genius political move. So yeah, he spent like 15 minutes to maybe an hour cooking fries and manning the drive-through window at a McDonald's. I think it was in Pennsylvania. He was friends with the franchise owner, so he got that. He was able to work that out. But McDonald's leadership looks at all the publicity they're getting from rightful President Donald Trump's Sunday visit to one of their locations. They must be saying, I'm loving it. But Democrats aren't. The reason is clear. Trump's visit to McDonald's was a masterful political maneuver, and everyone knows it. The rightful president on Sunday showed up to a McDonald's restaurant in Feasterville, Trevose, Pennsylvania, to start a temporary new job, fry cook. The visit was a jab at his opponent, Vice President Kamala Harris, who made a dubious claim that she once worked at the fast food restaurant during her college years. It was much more than just a jab at Harris. It was a bit of political posturing that showcased one of his strengths, coming off as a relatable person. Yeah, he was chatting up all the people through the drive-thru, and I'll never forget that lady from Brazil who said, please don't let America become like my home country. I have a feeling they're going to clean up Brazil too. Bolsonaro he's a bulldog. He's awesome. They are so afraid of Bolsonaro in Brazil. So, and that's the thing. This is from what does Mr. Pay? I'm just waiting for the wheel. Donald Trump winning all the swing states as per betting markets. So you might have heard Holly Market. It's not just a poll or a survey site. You can actually bet money on who you think is going to win the election and in each swing state. And Trump is winning in 6 of these swing states: Arizona, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Nevada, and Michigan. Someone pointed out a few weeks ago that betting sites like this can actually open up election fraud cases in court, because if an election is fortified, I gotta choose my words carefully on YouTube, but if an election is fortified by foul play, then those people are criminally liable, and they can be sued or taken to criminal court because they stole money from people making wagers. So that's a whole other dimension to this, and that's a very good sign. What President Trump is doing here, he's laying the groundwork for the battle. President Trump has it in the bag. Everyone who is honest with themselves and looks up valid news information on Twitter or Truth Social or Rumble knows the truth about him, knows what a criminal syndicate, pedophile network the Democrats are and the deep state is. Anyone who's honest and actually ventures outside of network television or the newspapers knows what a valid movement MAGA is. Trump's already won this. The only problem is either fortification or, after election day, chaos, war. They're going to try to start a war both abroad, World War III, and here in the U.S., here at home, in order to sow confusion and chaos in order to hang on to power. But first, let's look at some of the convincing ways that President Trump is leading this. Rasmussen reports, who is the only polling firm that I trust, maybe Rich Barris, but I don't follow him enough to know. Who is the biggest enemy America currently faces? 30% says the Democratic Party. 20% says China. So more people think the Democrats are a bigger threat than China. 16% say the Republican Party. 12% say Russia. What does that tell you? 9% domestic extremists. 8% Iran. 6% not sure. So the Democrats are public enemy number one, according to the people. How fortunate are we that the richest man in the world had enough sense and fair-mindedness and such a sense of justice that he was able to take over a mainstream social media platform and unleash free speech. There's a lot of crap on Twitter. I mean, it works. It does a job on my psyche. But there's so much truth on there too. It's very therapeutic, and it's very therapeutic to be able to point and laugh at people like Adam Schiff and Adam Kinzinger. Elon Musk retweets Mike Benz. The magic of the Rogan experience is that it reveals the person for who they really are. Yeah, President Trump. He went on Joe Rogan experience. Kamala can't do Rogan because you can't escape yourself for 3 minutes, but you can escape yourself because you can escape yourself for 3 minutes, but you can't escape yourself for 3 hours. Yeah, Kamala couldn't last in a fair, open, honest conversation with someone like Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan, he follows martial arts. He practices jiu-jitsu. He knows how to guide conversation the way he wants it. And Trump stood up to scrutiny. Trump came across as a relatable, individual. Bombastic, but, very overly confident, but relatable. He can talk on the fly. He doesn't need a teleprompter. He doesn't need a script. He knows his stuff. Kamala doesn't. She's just a marionette. Rasmussen again. I thought I solved this problem, but maybe I need to get a new PC. Tea leaves. If the swelling trend is accurate, and if Trump wins, then he will have no mercy on 2024 election fraud participants. Commenting on George, saying, Lancaster, Pennsylvania officials have busted a large-scale fraudulent voter registration scheme with the same handwriting, fake signatures, false, etc. Scheme in other Pennsylvania counties. So there are no swing states; there are only captured ones. There are no Democrat states; there are only captured ones. My state, Iowa, used to be a swing state until we required voter ID. So I'm very comfortable and confident in my state. We're also a constitutional carry state, so I don't need a permit to conceal carry my handgun in public. Some of you might. You can get a concealed carry license from several different organizations that are effective in multiple states. So I don't have any links to that, but I do have a link to some gear that could help. Now, I just want to pitch one of my affiliate partners, Blackout Coffee. Great, patriot, white hat, American-minded, freedom-minded company that's worth supporting. We're finding out a lot of companies are not worth supporting. Disney, Target. I mean, we only go there because there's barely any other choice. But if you can get on a website like Public Square or Patriot Switch, there's so many fair-minded mom and pop independent, companies and manufacturers of products that can give you something quality and won't cost you an arm and a leg because they're direct to consumer. So Blackout Coffee is one of those businesses. I treat myself to them once in a while when I'm tired of the store brand coffee from my local grocery store chain. But Blackout Coffee is just, it makes me feel warm and fuzzy. It makes me feel, it gives me a funny feeling in my tummy that's just satisfying. They've got a 20% site-wide code right now. Halloween 2. Tony, I've got a discount code in the description of this program, so you can use that as well. Go ahead and support patriot businesses. Get away from the corporate government nexus and build a parallel economy. Now, I got so many tweets up here, it's kind of silly. Isn't it great that I can post tweets rather than news articles from some mainstream, news website like Time or CNN? Isn't it great that we have information direct from people on the ground or just citizen journalists? Patriots aren't in control of posts. Is this our October surprise that Trump is Hitler? Well, yeah. Trump held his event at Madison Square Garden, and Kamala's camp is reaching and saying, oh, Hitler did something at Madison Square Garden. A lot of people do stuff at Madison Square Garden. There have been boxing matches. There have been basketball games. Okay. But here's the real point of that. They want to justify in people's minds that if Trump is such a dangerous psychopath, maniac, anything's justifiable under just gotta wait for it to load. Epiphany moment. The reason the left is pushing forward with this Hitler narrative in the United States with the goal to stop Hitler 2.0. Why do we think that? Well, they've already game planned it. They called it the Transition Integrity Project, a CIA Department of Defense simulation on how to cause domestic color revolutions in the United States if Donald Trump won the election. Link to the Rumble video on that. Information between now and January 20th, 2025 is paramount. That's what we do. Do your part and either fight back against narratives to save minds or support people like myself in their efforts to fight back. Together we win, they lose. I just came across a Bible verse, Ephesians, I think it was 5:11. Take them apart in the works of darkness, but instead expose them. I'm paraphrasing. The best thing we can do that normal citizens like us can do is expose these bastards. Fight the information war. This is a 5th generation war we're in. I mean, they want to start a kinetic war with shooting and bombs and nukes and chemical weapons and God knows what else. But intelligence is far more important than that. We share information. The white hats are allowed to keep secrets. We are allowed to keep secrets under the 4th Amendment. The enemy is not. And right now, Trump and members of the military intelligence to be exact, have been gathering intel on these bad guys. Coming back to Patriots are in control. What does he or she have to say next? Trump drawing hundreds of thousands of people to Madison Square Garden is part of a blues in the heart of a blue city was a little too much for the Emma Simpson stomach. He broke them. Yeah, that's really significant. He did this in blue New York City. I mean, it's significant that he had Rudy Giuliani on there to speak before him. Rudy Giuliani, the greatest mayor New York City ever had, cleaned up crime, took on the mafia when he was a federal prosecutor in the 80s. It's really a miracle that Giuliani was ever the mayor of New York City, considering the Democrat machine that's been operating there for hundreds of years. But it's very significant that Giuliani and Trump are good friends. Now, Jake Sullivan says U.S. making progress in combating election interference. So Jake Sullivan is the national security advisor to President Biden. He assured voters Thursday in the United States that the country is improving its fight against election interference. Now, why should we trust someone in the Biden regime? We should not. What Jake Sullivan is really doing is he's saying, hey, there's election interference out there. And if Trump wins, you can blame it. That's the reason. They tried to do this with the Russia hoax, which was debunked by the Mueller investigation. And probably Biden had a collusion operation with the CCP. Now, this is he's just saying this kind of as they're out. They were laying down the pipe to cause more doubt and confusion. Their options are dwindling. Their ammunition is running out. The arrows in the quiver are running out. All they got now is either doubt, confusion, or war, or chaos. They can't deceive us anymore because we have a legitimate free speech platform. Breitbart, Elise Stefanik says FBI willingly covering up Iranian election interference. So, Elise Stefanik, I believe she's a congresswoman. The FBI is willfully covering up Iranian interference in the 2024 presidential election. House Conference Chair Elise Stefanik, Republican New York, warned Monday. The FBI, which has been long criticized for the weaponization of justice dating back to 2016 and 2020, now appears to be playing politics with the 2024 election. Let us never forget the Mar-a-Lago raid. That was a man behind the curtain event. That was another red pill during this whole pause of this era of red pills. We cannot trust the three-letter agencies in this country. They are part of the criminal syndicate. In that sense, spy agencies in other countries are deep state criminals. People complain about Israel and how they try to blame Jewish people on a lot of the problems in the world. That's like blaming Italians for all the crimes of the mafia. It doesn't fly. There are real Jews who follow the Torah, and there are false criminal Jews who follow the Talmud. I'll bet the Mossad are among those false Jews. They are the glowies of the Holy Land. And you've got intelligence agencies in the UK, New Zealand. Every country has its own style of corruption, and every country has its own deep state. And I want to read this tweet by Marjorie Taylor Greene. She is one of the true officials. She was really elected, which means for her to get on traction inside Congress, but her street cred is beyond reproach. Marjorie Taylor Greene is telling us of something that happened, I think Monday. Capitol Police hold casualty evacuation exercise at the Capitol with multiple helicopters last night. Stay with me on this. I'm going to read this whole tweet because it's lengthy, but it's got some juicy details in it. Trump told us, make it too big to rig, and we are on our way to making that happen as long as everyone votes for Trump. But we are in danger of losing the House with approximately 20 House seats literally too close. Yeah, if they can't win the White House, they're going to try to steal Congress. I voted last week. I voted early. I voted straight ticket Republican, so I did my part. Without the House, we cannot pass critical legislation to bring forward our MAGA agenda. But also, if Democrats control the House, they will refuse to certify President Trump's election on January 6th. They've already said they won't certify. Jamie Raskin said that a few months ago. I'm going to bring that tweet up a little later. Leading into this election, just in the past few months, Democrats are making big moves to secure the Capitol in January for certification on the 6th. Last night, Capitol Police conducted a casualty evacuation exercise on the East Front with multiple helicopters. This comes after the Department of Defense signed off on military force to be used to assist police against the American people. Alejandro Mayorkas, the Secretary of Homeland Security, designating January 6th as a special security event through Homeland Security. Mayor Bowser of D.C. requesting security for January 6th. An announcement of fencing to be erected January 5th through the 21st. While security is always important, Democrats are the party of riots, violence, and destruction. They're the party of Preston Brooks. Look him up. If they lose, they don't care about securing anything. They nearly burned down Washington on Trump's inauguration in 2017, rioted nightly during 2020, called us Nazis and Trump Hitler for years, and shot Trump in the face. But they are ramping up mass security for the Capitol because they are planning to maintain control of the Capitol by winning the House. Trump's momentum is too big to stop, and we are watching the polls stopping the steal for Trump. But we are not doing the same thing for critical House races. And if Trump wins the White House, Republicans win the Senate, but we lose the House, Democrats will build a fortress of resistance in the House. They will stop everything. They will impeach Trump again. They'll abuse every ounce of power that comes with the House of Representatives. The Democrats see all of us as the enemy. They see regular American citizens as the enemy because they're satanic. Let's not mince words. Make sure you vote all the way down ballot for Republicans and don't skip voting just because you're in an unwinnable Democrat state or a solid Republican state and you don't think your vote matters that much. You voting for Trump and that rhino congressman you can't stand is actually the key right now to saving this country. We have to win the presidency, the House, and Senate. Vote and win it all. So, yeah. I believe it's important to vote. Even after the Fortification 2020, the reason we knew about the Fortification was because so many people voted for the MAGA movement, voted for Trump and the Red Wave. We know about the Fortification because it wasn't too big to rig, but it was too big to hide. Everyone should be encouraged now to vote MAGA, to vote straight R down ballot. And they're going to, and the deep state, the Democrats and the rhinos, they want to make life hard for us. So I'm going to bring your attention to another resource to help support this channel and support you. And that's thesafecitizen.com. This is my own online store for affiliate products, links to Amazon. But this is some good everyday carry self-defense tools. We got pepper spray. You know, there was a teenage girl in Denmark earlier this year who was assaulted outside of a migrant center. Thankfully, she had pepper spray on her, so she escaped with her life and her honesty. However, pepper spray is illegal in Denmark, and she has been brought up on charges. Pepper spray is perfectly legal in the U.S., and you can get it on my website. I also have holsters for your everyday carry gun. I've got Taekwondo, the Korean martial art, written by the great Taekwondo Grandmaster Richard Chun. If you're looking for a solid, practical martial art to practice, Taekwondo is my recommendation. I have a black belt in Taekwondo. It's very reasonable. It's not so esoteric, loopy philosophical as some of the other martial arts. It's just good, practical, common sense, efficient movements. I got more pepper spray. I've got a couple knife options here. And I've got the MTAC Tactical Bag Shoulder Chest Pack. So here I got it here. I wear this when I'm out in public and when I'm driving. The MTAC is really helpful because you can wear it like this, and my microphone's in the way. And it's out of the way of your seatbelt if you're in the driver's seat. And I can carry a lot of things in here. I carry my Gerber strong arm knife. This is just the right size to fit in your sling bag or your purse or your pocket. And I carry my Glock 19. I'll talk a little about that later. And it's got several pouches in here to carry some pepper spray and a flashlight. Flashlight's pretty helpful because they can disorient an attacker. If you're kind of squeamish about lethal weapons like a knife, like an edged weapon, or a gun, pepper spray and flashlights are a great option. Pepper spray especially because it has a nice range on it. Oh, got the lid on there. But now the great thing about the MTAC sling bag is it has this my microphone's in the way. It has this pull tab for easy, quick opening. So if you're in a situation, you can pull down the tab really quick and draw your weapon. I'm going to leave this on because I want to talk about my Glock a little bit later. But go to thesafecitizen.com. Link in the description, and link on all these products that I've chosen to highlight because they're multi-purpose and they'll give you the most bang for your buck. Let's continue here. We got to talk about some of the nonsense and silliness that's happening in the early voting locations. Chairman Watley on Twitter says, he is the GOP chairman, a supporter of Trump's was arrested today for encouraging people to stay in the early voting line and cast their ballots freely in Pennsylvania. This follows reports from across the Commonwealth that voters are being turned away in conservative areas. This is voter suppression from the left. Do not let them turn you away. Go vote. So yeah, this lady is telling people to stay in line, and they cuffed her. And this is the lady herself, Val Biancianello. She says, "Thank you for sharing this video. That is me in the video, being handcuffed and taken away. I broke no laws." On the other hand, the Bureau of Election Workers telling everyone in the line they should only be in this line if you have a pressing reason to vote is voter suppression. So yeah. No one requires a pressing need to vote by mail. That is why it's called no excuse mail-in voting. The Election Bureau worker also announced to the long line of voters, the wait is 2 hours, and then we're going to put you in a second line, and then a third line. Can you imagine if we said this to a long line of Democrat voters? I did not break any laws, though they tried to convince me I did. They put me in handcuffs, took me to a holding room where I was patted down, and then I was handcuffed to a bench. Eventually, the officer took the handcuffs off and walked me out of the building, telling me I'm getting a citation for disorderly conduct. I will fight that. I broke no laws. I encourage people to stay in line and vote. There are plenty of witnesses who know the truth. Please vote. That's the thing. Everyone, carry your smartphone. You got a camera on there. You got a free speech platform on Twitter and Rumble and Truth Social. YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. I mean, they're deep state big tech, but you can get a little bit of information through there. But Twitter, Truth Social, and Rumble are the places to be. I said in my last program a few weeks ago, what is the purpose of a court? Is to present evidence and avoid a wrongful punishment. Can we accomplish the same thing with a restriction-free free speech platform? Think about that. We're exposing the fruitless works of darkness. James Blair on Twitter says, just gotta wait. Political director of the Trump 2024 campaign and Republican National Committee. Democrats are running around in Bucks County, Pennsylvania with badges trying to pretend like they're election officials. These people are not officials. Intimidation tactics. So, okay, so are these people going to get locked up? Are they going to get handcuffed and patted down? Videotape them. Film them. Don't let these bastards get away with deceiving you. I'm tempted to say gaslight, but it's almost getting overplayed. But it's a very, very powerful term because it's related to narcissistic abuse and oh yeah, he's got this whole thing about the postal service, the mail-in ballots. The United States Postal Service recently changed they're hiding the evidence of absentee mail-in ballot fraud by not allowing the evidence to be created in the first place. Here's how and what changed. You can't get the absentee mail-in vote ballot images from the USPS because they're not sending them to the central sorting facilities. Normally, you mail a letter to someone or a bill goes out. It goes to your local post office. Then it gets to a central sorting facility. Wisconsin, for example, has 6. Madison, Milwaukee, Oak Creek, Green Bay, North Illinois, and Eagan, Minnesota. That handles all mail. Even if mailed to your neighbor one house over, that is how the system works. Obama did this in 2011 and 2012, consolidating the USPS to have less total facilities. Centralization, that's the name of the game. Then the USPS began consolidating its central sorting facilities in August 2022 and continued through February 2023. If there are fewer centralized hubs of activity, it's easier for the criminal syndicate to control things. That's why they want to defund the police, because local law enforcement is spread out across the country. It's not centralized. It's different in each city. The consolidation plans included moving delivery options from over 200 spoke offices to 21 regional sorting delivery centers, where absentee mail-in ballots should go through a central sorting facility where each and every one would get scanned and an electronic image created. Bombshell. A telecon was held for the higher-ups in the USPS, and the order trickled down to all the faculties not to send ballots to central sorting, meaning no electronic images are being created. Confirmed at 3 locations in Wisconsin, confirmed at 1 regional office of the USPS, confirmed at 1 location in Colorado, and explains why they denied me my Freedom of Information Act request for said images, because there are none. See letter they sent me attached here. If you remember in 2020, USPS was caught deleting evidence of these very electronic images. Still to this day, they still have not produced them. USPS recently directed, less than a month, post offices to not send absentee mail-in ballots to central sort, but instead take them to the election clerks, meaning again, no electronic ballot images are being created in the first place. USPS is doing this on purpose. And who did this? Amber McReynolds, an Obama-Biden plant at the USPS. Head of the Zuckerbucks National Vote at Home Institute, Amber McReynolds was appointed by Biden to the U.S. Postal Service Governing Board. Quote an image with red circles from Pepe's grandma. Thank you. So any tags a lot of white hat journalists like Emerald Robinson, Natalie Winters, Behezy, Patrick Byrne, True the Vote, Yehuda Miller, Elon Musk. So yeah. Gateway Pundit, reporting on October 19th, says voters in Georgia, Texas, Shelby County, Tennessee report voting machines are flipping their selection. So, if your county or district has online digital voting machines, record that shit. Film that shit. Let's see here. I think the storm has arrived. Storm Redux. Yeah, the storm has arrived, says. They said in such a panic that a group of Democrat senators released a report last night trying to convince the American people that it's totally normal that we aren't going to have the election results on election night. Look at the headline of the 3rd page of the report below. In some states, we may not know the winner on election night. That's okay. No, it's not okay. They really think we're stupid. The Harris campaign is imploding, and they have no choice but to stop Donald J. Trump at all costs. Not happening. So yeah, this is from... In some states, we may not know the winner on election night. That is okay. And I don't want to read all this pablum, but they're trying to sow confusion. They can't deceive us anymore, so they're going to try to confuse us. That's a fundamental tactic of emotional abuse, of narcissistic abuse, of toxic families and toxic relationships. Coming into the storm has arrived. A few months ago, Jamie Raskin was on camera saying that Congress was going to have to tell rampaging Trump mobs that he is disqualified after he wins the election. Today, Jamie Raskin is on MSNBC pushing the narrative that Trump won't commit to a peaceful transition of power. His idiots aren't even making sense anymore. The guy who already said on camera that he will not allow a peaceful transition of power when Trump wins is now saying that Trump won't commit to a peaceful transition of power. So this is the point that Marjorie Taylor Greene was making. If MAGA loses the House, then they can do this kind of crap. And they have told themselves and their base and their operatives that Trump is illegitimate, that he got a fair trial in all of his various trials. They think they lie and they say he was convicted. He was not convicted because those trials were bogus. I haven't covered those so much, but they expect those trials to be either overturned or nullified. But they think they can deny him public office underneath the 14th Amendment. They say this, they lie with such certitude on a satanic network that is MSNBC. They're just fine doing this. And I said MSNBC is satanic. There's a clip of one of their commentators, Michael Beschloss, making an Illuminati symbol. MSNBC is fucking sick. Now let's see what Donald Trump Jr. says on Twitter. Here we go. Read this all and understand what they are very purposely doing. This is not an article or news. It's a flagrant attempt to censor and demonetize anything that would be critical to the left. So Ben Shapiro says, I don't know if I want to read all this, but if you're wondering what the legacy media would plan for its October surprise, wonder no longer. It's here. Today, I received the following text from a reporter at the New York Times. Good day, Mr. Shapiro. I hope you're well. I'm Nico Grant, a reporter at the New York Times. I want to give you an opportunity to comment for an upcoming article that takes a look at how political commentators have discussed the upcoming election on YouTube. We rely on an analysis conducted by researchers at Media Matters for America. Isn't that George Soros's outfit? Could you kindly provide us with a comment or decline to comment by the end of the day tomorrow, Tuesday, October 29th? Thanks so much for your time. Here are the points we plan to include. Media Matters identified 286 YouTube videos between May and August that contained election misinformation, including narratives that have been debunked or are not supported with credible evidence. Researchers identified videos posted by you in those 4 months that contain election misinformation. Well, did they really? Give us evidence. I don't give a shit about your title. Researchers identified videos posted by you in those 4 months that contain election information. We feature a clip of you saying your party rigged many of the voting rules in advance of the election in order to ensure an extraordinary number of mail-in ballots without harvesting. I also have a few questions. Are you a member of the YouTube Partner Program? If so, how frequently does YouTube demonetize your videos? Has YouTube sent you messages, emails, notices in the last year that your content contains misinformation? Thanks for your time. So, I barely get I don't even get single-digit views on YouTube. I get single-digit views on YouTube, not even double digits. I get a lot more traction on Twitter and Rumble. So, YouTube, I like watching YouTube. A lot of my favorite people are on YouTube. It doesn't work out for me. And, excuse me. If I don't get a sip, I'm going to start sounding like Robert Kennedy Jr. So just a second. This is why I'm so enthused by Rumble and Twitter. I'm going to beat this horse until it's pudding. But you can see here, they're assuming what they're doing is projection, a classic calling card of narcissistic personality disorder, and probably a lot of other cluster B disorders. They accuse you of what they do themselves. And they muddy the waters and say, oh, it's okay for us to cast down on this election because there's doubt anyway. They do it themselves, and so they say they accuse their opponents of doing it, and they say it with such certainty, with such confidence that you feel weird contradicting them because you don't want to come to blows. You want to be reasonable, but this is why you practice self-defense. And one of those tools for practice self-defense is another one of my referral partners, the dry fire mag. Now, I told you we were going to talk about my Glock again. The Glock brand of handguns is striker fired. Now, the thing with striker fired pistols is you can if they're not loaded, you can pull the trigger once, but not again. Dry firing is an affordable and convenient way to practice shooting and drawing your gun and just getting comfortable with your weapon at home or wherever you are. You can practice drawing from your holster or your sling bag, or you can practice aiming with laser sights. And the dry fire mag lets you pull the trigger repeatedly over and over on a striker fired pistol like the Glock. Here, I gotta reset it. But here, I'm gonna point at the doorknob on my closet, and now I can pull the trigger again. I couldn't do that with this mag. It's got a little clicker on the inside end of it that lets you fire repeatedly. Now, the dry fire mag with the laser pointer attachment, it costs about $300, a little over. However, when you consider the price of ammunition and going to the range, you would realize that the dry fire mag pays for itself. So dry fire mag, they've got models of their product for different brands of handguns, for Glock, for Sig Sauer, for the Palmetto State Armory Dagger, for Shadow Lesson, for Springfield, and they got all these accessories like targets, laser pointers. So I don't know if there's enough time to arm yourself before the election, but between November 5th and January 20th, I'm not saying go looking for a fight. I'm not saying, get violent. I'm just saying be prepared. A lot of times having a gun at all will scare off a bad guy. So equip yourself with dry fire mag. Palmetto State Armory, they make the dagger, which is like a Glock clone based on a version of the dagger, a version of the Glock whose patent has run out. But that's a very affordable and very reliable, dependable option. So go on Palmetto State Armory's website. But get comfortable with a weapon. Get comfortable with martial arts practice, and be prepared. I mean, one of the highest skill in martial arts is not using martial arts, just being confident enough in your ability to stop a fight at all. So prepare yourself. Now we're going to see why that's important, because just the news reports, voters suspect violence after the election. Majority say the media would be at fault. This is a real news website because it's run by John Solomon, who's a real journalist. A recent survey showed that whether GOP presidential nominee Donald Trump or Vice President Kamala Harris wins the election, voters expect there to be violence. A study conducted by Rasmussen reports, Rasmussen again, if the poll ain't Rasmussen, it's garbage. Rasmussen reports shows that 51% of American voters think there will be violence if Harris is elected president. The study also shows that 40% of voters think a violent reaction will occur if Trump gets elected. Political divisiveness has been discussed over the past few years, and many have pointed out that the media have been fueling the fire. The study conducted by Rasmussen reports shows that 8 out of 10 voters think the media have been contributing to the divisiveness, according to the Washington Examiner, another legit website. The survey interviewed 2,956 likely voters between October 17th and the 21st, with a sampling error of plus or minus 2%. Politico says, domestic extremism civil war report. Feds see uptick in online chatter among extremists preparing for civil war. I'm not saying prepare. I'm not saying we need to start a civil war. I'm just saying defend yourselves. I mean, a martial artist does not go looking for a fight. A martial artist stops a fight. I'll say this over and over again. When you learn martial arts, you learn these routines called forms. You learn a different form at each belt rank, and they start simple and they get more advanced. In every single martial arts form that I've either practiced or watched, the first move is a defensive move. It's a block. It's never a punch or a kick. You practice defense and then counterattack. But Kenneth Weinstein, the head of the Department of Homeland Security's Intelligence Office, testified to the Senate Judiciary Committee in 2017. His office recently warned about extremist preparation for civil war. They're trying to lay down, set up the narrative for violence in the streets. They want to use their posers, their agent provocateurs, just to start violence and say it's Trump supporters' fault. Do not get violence. Do not try to riot. Just mind your business and just stay armed and just, defend yourselves. Do not go looking for a fight. If you see anyone flying a MAGA flag or wearing a MAGA hat, trying to start shit, that's not MAGA. That's probably the Patriot Front group. That's probably the feds, doing the same thing that Antifa and BLM did during the George Floyd protests. It's a legitimate and normal thing to protest corruption in your police department. It's a good and right thing to do. It's protected under the First Amendment. What Antifa and BLM did was they started riots and they caused confusion. They wanted to put fair-minded, justice-minded citizens in a corner, saying, "Hey, if you don't protest police brutality, you're a racist." And they wanted to make people admit they were racist by condemning the violence of the agent provocateurs. They want to do something similar with either a Trump victory or a Kamala victory. And they're not just doing it with the glowies, they're doing it with criminals imported from foreign countries. This is from the New York Post. Hundreds of thousands of migrants are being held in southern Mexico until U.S. election day and are eager to rush the border. Tapachula, Mexico, this town near the border of Guatemala, holds a migrant time bomb ready to go off just after the U.S. presidential election. The fuse was lit in December 2023 when the Joe Biden-Kamala Harris administration sent senior lieutenants to Mexico to work out the details of what remains a highly mysterious grand diplomatic bargain. Worried about what the optics of the southern border would do to their re-election chances, though not the migrant crisis itself, the White House wanted to stop the pictures of crowds of people gathered at the wall. The deal was to have Mexico deploy 32,500 troops to the U.S. border to round up an untold thousands of intending border crossers from the northern precincts and then force ship them, internal deportation by planes and buses, thousands of miles to Mexico's southern provinces and trap them in cities like Tapachula in Chiapas state behind militarized roadblocks. So, isn't Mexico's president a communist? Every country has its own flavor, has its own style of corruption, but so many of these so-called developing countries, they're emptying out their prisons and insane asylums and exporting their bad guys, their criminals, to the U.S. and to other countries like Europe, Japan, Australia, New Zealand. Representative Boebert, this is from the Gateway Pundit, Representative Boebert demands answers from Biden-Harris admin about viral video of a TSA agent admitting there's a relaxed process for illegal aliens. Now, Julie Green on Rumble, Julie Green Ministries, she talks to God, and one of the prophecies that God gave her was the TSA is involved in trafficking and smuggling. So this is probably proof of what she said several months ago. Colorado Representative Lauren Boebert is demanding answers from the Biden-Harris administration about a viral video of a TSA agent admitting there's a more relaxed process for handling of illegal aliens than American citizens. So let's watch this. This is from David Harris Jr. Need to know. Okay. Did you notice how many of them are wearing backpacks? Backpacks are becoming very popular in this environment, not just from criminals, but from regular folks. And sling bags as well. I notice a lot of YouTube content on everyday carry, gun tubers. They talk about their backpacks. So that's why I'm very comfortable wearing this sling bag out in public. It's not a purse. It's a sling bag. And if you do wear a purse, I mean, okay, that's there's the customer's always right in when it comes in matters of taste. So there you go. But I think a lot fewer people would try to start shit if they knew other people were packing. Now, Alexander the Great on YouTube. I'm sorry, on Twitter. Let's see what you have to say. You don't accidentally report a drop in crime when you actually have a sharp increase. You don't accidentally report more jobs than actually exist. You don't accidentally misplace money for Ukraine. You don't accidentally release billions to Iran right before they start funding wars. Everything was done in coordination. Trump is fighting against the people who have the ability to manipulate everything we see and hear. If you're still supporting Trump amidst one of the greatest indoctrinations in history, congratulations. You're smarter than they expected. I mean, we're all smarter than they expected, but he sums up a really good point here. They're saying that crime is dropping. Well, it's because police and feds in a lot of these cities are just not reporting the crimes. A lot of the citizens are reporting crimes because the police and law enforcement and the FBI don't do anything about it. So there's no point. So that's how they can say crime is dropping under the Biden-Harris administration when it's actually at untold levels. Although I kind of wonder if it's out in the open now because people are filming it. I want to bring up this page from Department of Homeland Security's own website on DHS.gov. DHS offers protections for Lebanese nationals currently in the United States. Now, I'm sure there are nice people from Lebanon, but how do we know those nice people are the ones in this country? Certain Lebanese nationals will be eligible for DED and TPS, allowing them to work and temporarily remain in the United States. So it's the same thing with the whole Haitian immigrant situation in Ohio. You can't say that they're illegal because they've got a special program here. That doesn't mean they're not going to start shit. The whole point of illegal immigration is vetting someone who comes into your country. You don't just let anyone come into your home who knocks on the door or who breaks through the window. You let them ring doorbell or knock on the door. You ask who it is. If you're expecting the only person I answer the door for is like DoorDash or Pizza Delivery. Tulsi warns that Kamala Harris might start a new delay Trump certification and inauguration. So let's listen to her. Time permitting. Sorry, the page is loading. You guys are so. Yep. Now, RenegadeTribune.com is commenting on a New York Times piece. So it's not just a Twitter problem; it's a general internet problem. I probably need to get a better computer or get a better internet connection. New York Times: Kamala should draft young men into military service to give them purpose. This is let's read this. This is from Chris Minahan. Kamala Harris should conscript young men into military service to give them a sense of identity, community, and patriotism, according to the New York Times. Why is that? Because young men are breaking from MAGA like never before. From the New York Times, Trump's bro whispering could cost Democrats too many young men. Quote, to reignite the hope of the emerging generation, Ms. Harris should make a sweeping national call to both military and civilian service. Name of the Generation Z Compact to rebuild and renew America. Such a plan would offer a sense of identity, community, and patriotism while providing economic stability and skill. What? You don't build economic security by government spending. You build economic security with a strong private sector that's not being bled dry by the government tapeworms. The point is, they want to start a war. That's another part of their plan. They pull off their depopulation agenda because Sinwar's killing. Yeah, he was a big officer in Hamas. As Biden urges ceasefire. Now, a lot of people are complaining about Israel's genocide in Palestine. First of all, the type of people who are saying there's a genocide in Palestine are not people I would trust. Tell the truth, because I've seen enough, edited video that came out later to be debunked. So, and second, these terrorists, these cultists use human shields among civilians in their area. So they want Israel to kill civilians. It's Hamas's fault that civilians are dying, not Israel's. Now, are there bad guys in Israel? Of course there are. I mean, Mossad, like I said, there are glowies in every country. But we need to pray for discernment. But they're going to, deep state's allies in other countries that are, also controlled by the criminal syndicate, they're going to try to start a war among each other or the appearance of a war in order to delay certification. Now, let's go to Truth Social because Donald Trump has something to say about leakers in the Pentagon, I think. Real Donald Trump. U.S. leaks highly confidential documents from Israel. May have come from the Defense Department. Israel has been seriously damaged and compromised by this. Wartime strategy and data. Probably came from the Defense Department. Must find the leaker. Israel no longer wants to share documents with the U.S., and who can blame them? So, now, this might have been a test to see who Israel can trust within the Department of Defense. So, or it could have been a real, leak that did harm to Israel. Either way, Department of Defense and the people who did this are exposed. China's Xi calls for troops to boost war preparedness. So, yeah, Trump has been warning that China's going to invade Taiwan for a couple of years now, really ever since Russia invaded Ukraine. Now, this might be another situation of secret white hats in China trying to root out the criminal syndicate in Taiwan. Like I said, every country has its own deep state, and every country has its own style of corruption. So we don't know who the white hats are in China, but just as there's a deep state in every country, I'm sure there are white hats in every country. So I'm saying not everything is as it seems. Trump says he has a very good relationship with Xi Jinping. He also has a good relationship with Putin and Kim Jong-un. Does that mean he's friends with them? No. That means he can work with them. He can reason with them. He can negotiate with them. And he can get them to do what he says because he's a real leader. Trump, other than destroying ISIS, was a peacemaker. He was able to control America's enemies and keep them at bay through economic power rather than military power. There is a saying, amateurs study tactics, dilettantes study strategy, professionals study logistics. So logistics and economic power is really at the root of a lot of military power. So that's why it's so important to support a strong, productive private sector and a strong, supply chain, food producers, manufacturing base. Economics is a whole other topic, but it's probably at the root of a lot of, the problem here, but that's not the scope of this program here. Kiev's nuclear blackmail. Ukraine may be considering deploying a dirty bomb to escalate the war and drag NATO into World War III. Well, they themselves want to drag NATO into World War III. That's, Victoria Nuland, who was part of Obama's regime and who's part of Biden's regime. She was instrumental in regime change in Ukraine and installing a puppet government there. So they wanted to provoke Putin and start a war. The reason Putin attacked Ukraine was because NATO was breaking so many treaties with Russia. So, and setting up biolabs and other nasty stuff on Russia's front step. Am I happy that Russia, resorted to military force? No. I mean, Trump proved that you can get your way through power, but what I've been telling people, Russia is a real enemy. The deep state is. Stephen Miller, he says this about Iranian spies. It's not even about Iranian sympathizers. Okay, let's first read the tweet he's talking about here. Jerry Dunleavy, the fourth, says, we don't know how this info was leaked or who did it, but what we do know is there are Iran sympathizers inside the Biden-Harris admin who would like nothing more than to stymie Israeli efforts to strike the Iranian regime. So this is back to Trump's tweet about the leaker in the Defense Department. Stephen Miller says, It's not even about Iranian sympathizers. A literal Iranian spy ring infiltrated Tony Blinken's office. Tony Blinken, I believe, is the Secretary of Defense. This was barely covered by every single major institutional media outlet in this country. When Donald Trump insults Jim Acosta, that's not enemy of the people's shit. When the American media actively works to cover up a hostile foreign espionage operation in Democratic administration because they agree with their politics, that is actual enemy of the people shit. So yeah, that's why the Joe Rogan interview was so important, because Donald Trump is communicating to people directly. Citizen journalism, independent journalism, podcasts, live streams, Twitter, Truth Social, social media influencing. That's the future of media. The corporate media, I don't like to call them mainstream anymore because no one really trusts them anymore, other than boomers and the mentally ill. Corporate media is absolutely a dyed-in-the-wool arm of the deep state. Kenneth Go the Great. Kenneth Go the Great always does makes cool content. So I forget what he says, but I can't wait to read it. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris drained America's strategic petroleum reserve to its lowest level in 40 years. Oh yeah, that's why gas isn't as expensive right now, just before election. Price has been dropping. It's still pretty bad, but it could be a lot worse because they've been draining our strategic reserve. If war between Israel and Iran escalates, Iran could block the Strait of Hormuz, a crucial route for about 20% of the world's oil supply. The depletion of America's strategic petroleum reserve should be a national scandal. Yeah, what was Biden's first act as the White House resident? He canceled the Keystone Pipeline. He hates America's energy independence. He really is an enemy of the people. I mean, anyone who says he's the rightful president is either a criminal or a hostage. Daily Mail, secretive $120 million weapon built for U.S. Space Force that jams Russian and Chinese satellites is finally set for delivery as flaws are fixed following a 2-year delay. So here's some good news, potentially. I don't like that they're, announcing it in the media, but if this is what the true American military has, Space Force and the White Hats, just think what other cool equipment they have. A secretive American weapon that jams Chinese and Russian satellites is finally set for delivery. The Meadowland system is a powerful satellite jammer built to temporarily knock out enemy communications as sort of a conflict. So this is good. This is like I've been saying the last couple of weeks. Intelligence is more important than guns. It's more important than weapons. Knowing who and where the enemy is valuable. It keeps you from making the wrong move. It keeps you from harming, friends and the wrong targets. So good on you. Now, here's a way that you can block the enemy signal from your own device. And that is another one of my referral partners, one of my affiliate sponsors, NordVPN. I have NordVPN. Oh, wait. Is NordVPN on? I thought I turned it on. Gloriaski. Here, I'm going to do it. I'm not, but okay, now I'm connected. And I'm just going to refresh the page. Voila! Now, VPN stands for Virtual Private Network, and it hides your browser activity from big tech, from the government, from hackers, from cyber criminals. But I repeat myself. Now, the reason why we have the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution, it spells out our right to privacy. The government cannot search your house, your papers, personal effects, or your vehicle without a warrant, without probable cause. And they should be able to search your browser history or your device without probable cause. A VPN hides your browser activity and from prying eyes. NordVPN is the industry standard among VPNs, and they always have a deal going on. Black Friday deal, 72% off NordVPN. Click on the link in the description, and you'll be supporting this program, and you'll be doing yourself a favor and protecting yourself from the bad guys. Another thing I want to promote here is the Wellness Company. I haven't talked much about, disease or biological attack, but we know all about COVID. We all know all about the vaccine. A lot of us don't trust the medical establishment anymore. The Wellness Company is setting up a parallel health system. They have memberships where you can, they have virtual care, they have med kits, they have supplements. A lot of us were bullied into taking the COVID jab. Thankfully, I only took the first 2, none of the boosters. So I think I'll be okay. I just got to hang on until they roll out the med beds. But they've got a spike support formula, spike detox. They've got immune system support and detox. They've got supplements for energy and sleep, digestion and metabolism, heart health, digestion and metabolism. I've been seeing a lot of stuff on Twitter saying that gut health is tied to autism and other mental health issues. So that's been worth looking into. They also have these med kits. We're learning that ivermectin really does cure a lot of problems. There was even a tweet a couple weeks ago where a peer-reviewed study proves that ivermectin plus something else cures cancer. You cannot get ivermectin from a pharmacy, but you can get ivermectin from the Wellness Company through one of their med kits. They've got several different med kits, but you place your order, you'll get a review, you'll get a clearance from one of their licensed doctors, and they'll come in the mail. Virtual care. You can talk to a doctor online for your checkup if you have an issue, and they won't try to push, big pharma products on you. This is going to be very important if they can't start a war. They might try to launch another disease like monkeypox. So get your ivermectin, get your spike detox, spike protein detox, and do yourself a favor. Click on the link in the description to save. I think it's 10 or 15% off your purchase on anything other than a doctor visit, and get prepared. Now, we're on the home stretch of all of this content here, but I do want to share some good news and share some helpful strategies on how to combat the coming confusion. And I think it's Andrew Mullins here on Twitter. Yeah, Andrew Mullen says, martial law is the goal. The Dems knew last year or earlier that Biden could never win. They knew there was no chance in a straight-up election that any Dem can win, especially Kamala. Their goal isn't to steal the election at the box like in 2020, but instead to create as much irregularity as possible to delay the actual outcome. Push it to the courts and hope the people will get angry enough to warrant martial. Let's go to Social and Karma Patriot. Karma Patriots says, my one-word article summary. Fear-mongering. This is in response to a Zero Hedge article. President real Donald Trump told us the exact reason for this directive when he said, if necessary, the military will help in law enforcement with mass deportations. Never mentions U.S. citizens with tracking and rounding up cartel and gang members. Lethal interventions under national security conditions in domestic operations, military's role, particularly in assisting civil law enforcement. Defense intelligence may assist a federal law enforcement agency when lives are in danger. For civil disturbances, requires presidential authorization, support to civilian law enforcement in situations where confrontation between civilian law enforcement and civilian individuals or groups is anticipated, under circumstances expressly authorized by the Constitution or Act of Congress. This is the Constitution Act material. A lot of my material from the X-22 report, but I don't talk about Q much. Yesterday was the 7th anniversary of the first Q post. I never got into Q. There's no such thing as QAnon. There's Q, and then there are the Anons on 4chan who asked Q questions and commented on stuff. But Q yesterday was the 7th anniversary of the first Q drop, and most of what I know about Q I learned from commenters on Twitter. I learned from the X-22 report. I learned from other commentators. But a lot of people said, oh, Q was fake. None of their predictions came to pass during the 2020 election. Well, there's multiple meanings to a lot of Q posts, and it could have been referring to this election, but it's given Q has given us, several instructions on how to stay safe and safeguard. See something, say something. Take pictures and video only when it's safe to do so. But really, people say that Q is a psyop telling us not to stand up for ourselves and let the white hats, save us, or the military save us when they're not actually going to. Not quite. The purpose of Q and the plan was to wake up the people. We, the people, have the power to stop this corrupt government, this corrupt deep state. The only thing we lack is information. The only thing we lack is intelligence. Now, I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not saying go out looking for a fight. I'm saying defend yourselves. But once information and intelligence is made clear to everyone, then we will have the power and authority to do what's necessary. We're not at that point yet. The White Hats have a lot of secrets. Well, President Trump has a lot of secrets and intel. We don't. The White Hats are allowed to have secrets. The enemy is not. Most of the rest of these tabs are just Twitter posts, so it's going to take a while to get them to load. But MAGA Brittany says, Dan Scavino's post of a darkened Trump with a quote, 10 days leads us to Q88, which was posted on November 11/5 back in 2017. November 5th election is in 10 days. Thread. I'll try to break down this drop down more to see a broader message. Now, this Q post says, D's failing, R's walk away removed, SA, US, Asia, EU, disinformation is real, distractions are necessary, focus was US today while real happening in SA, probably Saudi Arabia, under same context, military control, martial law, missile strike, rogue, etc. Necessary. POTUS's Twitter attack, see above, important. Okay. Why is this relevant? What was the last tweet by POTUS prior to SA? Why was this relevant? SA 1, US 2, Asia 3, EU 4. Where is POTUS? Why is this relevant? Okay. Okay, MAGA Brittany says 1. Q starts off by saying 10 days, then darkness on the following sentence line. And Anon later asks Q when the 10 days of darkness would be. in Q282. Q responded, shut down. Okay, part 2. Q2726 also mentions 10 days. Be alert next 10 days. False flag attempts may be carried out in an attempt to change narrative. Negative optics against deep state. High possibility of multiple day coverage event forcing pause on news. See something, say something. Q2615 mentions shutdown and points out that any reports of power grid attacks should be disregarded, aka fake news. Part 3. Yesterday, the FBI and CISA put out a joint statement that the People's Republic of China attacked U.S. infrastructure and that's still being investigated. So, screenshot of the BBC article. Trump advanced possible targets of China-backed cyber attack. 4. This also comes on the same day Israel did a retaliation strike on Iran. Link to article on CNN. As well as North Korea reported sending troops into Russia to help with Ukraine. House Intel Chair, Representative Mike Turner, said the U.S. should consider direct military action in Ukraine. So link to that article. 4. So with relevant news about China, Russia, Ukraine, Iran, and Israel, the media is painting the picture that potential World War III is about to break out. This is the multiple day coverage event that could force other news to pause from now until the election. Be alert next 10 days. This is Q saying this. False flag attempts may be carried out in attempts to change narrative. Negative optics. High probability of multiple day coverage event forcing pause on news. See something, say something. Signed Q. Part 6. Back to Q88. The MSM, mainstream media, will use scare tactics to keep us distracted. Distracted from what? Well, if these are flying and ours are walking away, removed, it seems like we can see the House arguing about whether or not the U.S. should assist in any part of the war. That's what I would expect. But if the war is a scare tactic or distraction that causes people to walk away, this really could be setting the stage to start making arrests. The good ones we need to get out of the way, and this would allow for that. This would allow that. Part 7. Q88 brings up Saudi Arabia. Yesterday, that would have been October 25th. Yesterday, Saudi Arabia condemned Israel's strike on Iran, while the U.S. State Department offered to sell missiles to Saudi Arabia for the defense against Iran. 8. Q88 then highlights Trump's last tweet he made before he left for his trip to Saudi Arabia on May 20th, 2017. What was the last tweet by POTUS prior to Saudi Arabia? Trump's last tweet before leaving for Saudi Arabia was this weekly address. So let's watch this. This is 3 minutes left. All right, continuing with MAGA Brittany, part 10. Why is this tweet, the weekly address to the American people, relevant? Because he laid out exactly what he was doing in order to bring peace to the Middle East. Where is POTUS on date of this Q drop? On November 5th, 2017, Trump was with our military at Yokota Air Base in Tokyo. Note, Trump negotiated peace and is always surrounded by military. Part 11. MAGA Brittany says, in my opinion, the Democrats need this war to distract us from the election. A war could potentially cause people to be afraid to get out and vote. Is this why Trump has been promoting early voting? Okay, that's a good point. War could potentially cause the election to pause or allow the D's to sneak in and try to steal it while we're busy distracted by worldwide chaos. And she screenshots this True Social post by Trump. Cease and desist. I, together with many attorneys and legal scholars, am watching the sanctity of the 2024 presidential election very closely because I know, better than most, the rampant cheating and skullduggery that has taken place by the Democrats in the 2020 presidential election. It was a disgrace to our nation. Therefore, the 2024 election, where votes have just started being cast, will be under the closest professional scrutiny, and when I win, Trump is very confident he's going to win. When I win, those people that cheated will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will include long-term prison sentences, so this depravity of justice does not happen again. We cannot let our country further devolve into a third world nation, and we won't. Please beware, this legal exposure extends to lawyers, political operatives, donors, illegal voters, corrupt election officials. Those involved in unscrupulous behavior will be sought out, caught, and prosecuted at levels, unfortunately, never before seen in this country. So, I think that's an important point. 12. MAGA Brittany says, it is also my opinion that the good guys who are watching everything very closely could use this type of election fraud and interference to open the door to arrests. 13. Not to mention, we're still waiting on a photo of Hussein. That means Obama. I guarantee one of these countries, Israel, Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, has that photo and will release it if the U.S. upsets one of them while they're at war. Now, what does Q say about this? Fake push by MSM, videos, backup, Google kill, YouTube kill, Facebook kill, Twitter kill, Yahoo kill, Bing kill, Instagram kill. Pixel surface of seeing holding AK-47 in tribal attire. One of many. Net shut down. So we've been anticipating a communication shutdown for several years now. 14. As a side note and more confirmation, Dan Scavino posted this at 12:34. 1, 2, 3, 4. Q88 says SA1, US 2, Asia 3, EU 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, what does Dan Scavino say? Dan Scavino has been one of Trump's stalwart allies. Trump says, dark MAGA tonight in Michigan for 45-47. American flag, eagle. 10 days. Vote. Make America great again. End. So, finally, a picture of Trump with a black MAGA hat rather than the red and white one. This MAGA hat is black and gold. Black and gold probably refers to the army. I don't know that for sure, but that's been suggested. Now, there's been lots of chatter about what darkness is. That was probably the best theory that I've come across. Now, New Treason on Twitter says, gotta wait for the page to load. By the way, if you're worried about a communication blackout, I've got links in my video description to a YouTube playlist about communications tech. So there's alternatives to just the internet and big tech. So I haven't watched all of them, but I've been gathering a big collection of information. So please take advantage. I also have a playlist of martial arts, fundamentals, of firearm education. What else do I have? Can't think of it all right now. News Treason Channel 17 and is colluding with the Biden administration to put Trump in jail. Think who was it? I'm blanking on the prosecutors, but whatever. If the governor of New York said he hates Trump so much and is colluding with the Biden administration to put Trump in jail, how exactly did he get permits to shut down Midtown Manhattan and use millions of city funds for extra transportation, police, barricades, and more? You see how both narratives can't coexist? Think generation warfare. So yeah, an event at Madison Square Garden in the heart of New York City, right in the middle of downtown. There are white hats everywhere. There are more good people than bad. The only bad people we really need to worry about are the ones at the top who backstab and lie and deceive their way to the upper ranks. The rank and file, the ones with boots on the ground where the rubber hits the road, most likely they're the ones we can trust. Joe Lang has great content. We're gonna go through a lot of his tweets in this home stretch here. Joe Lang says, "I like the connections made here, but I'll differ with the theory. I don't think those social media sites will be shut down at all. I believe the military, which is taking control of them using wartime powers, will expose all hidden communications and accounts on these CIA-created social media platforms. 10 Days of Darkness will be the exposure of the evidence of crimes on these hidden accounts, dark secrets, dark to light." So yeah, I've covered in previous videos, going back a couple years, that a lot of these big tech social media sites really aren't private companies. They're deep state intelligence tools created by the government, by DARPA, by the CIA, by the FBI, as a way to circumvent the Fourth Amendment and get our personal information. Think FBI. Zuckerberg did not start Facebook. That was a movie. That was fiction. Facebook was started by the government or government contractors. And he could have built such a successful website at only 22 years old. Now, James O'Keefe, this is very important here. This is something really good. James O'Keefe, founder of Project Veritas and now O'Keefe Media Group, says, I can't wait to read this tweet. Shipping hidden cams to poll workers this week. If you're a poll worker, election judge, or election clerk who wants to record in your polling location, O'Keefe Media will ship you a specialized OMG hidden camera early this week ahead of the election. Send us an email with your contact information to tips@o'keefemediagroup.com, and we will determine if you're in a jurisdiction where it's legal to record and see if you qualify. So yeah, see something, say something. It's our best weapon in this conflict is information intelligence. Do not participate in the evil works of darkness. Expose them. Ephesians 5:11, I think it is. Now, Clandestine, also a top-notch Twitter user, says, let's say Trump wins, then actually resolves the conflicts in Ukraine and the Middle East like he claims. How will he do that before he's inaugurated? I wonder. Maybe we'll have to acknowledge that he's the true winner of 2020. Wouldn't that be cool? Then the Dems, neocons, and mainstream media will have spent the last decade trying to smear, obstruct, indict, imprison, and assassinate the guy who ends up preventing World War III. If Trump is able to do what he claims, this will confirm for the public that the Biden regime were able to stop these conflicts the entire time and chose not to. This will give Trump the political ammunition and public support to take drastic measures to ensure the deep state never gain power again, to include prosecuting treasonous actors and corrupt media. If Trump is able to establish himself as the peacemaker, the MSM and the Dems will lose all credibility, and the brainwashing spell will be lifted. The woke mind virus will die, and we can start to rebuild. This is the timeline we are on if Trump wins. Julian Drum says, Julian Drum says, this is why you should vote early. It's preemptively disrupting any bullshit narrative they'll use to claim a Kamala victory because it will utterly contradict early voting stats. Julian Drum is replying to Eric Doherty. Florida's electorate is now R plus 8.3 and growing in the early mail-in voting. I'm speechless. Final 2020 was D plus 1.3, and this will continue. Hillsborough has also flipped red in the early vote. This must be a blue district in Florida that's flipped red by 8.3 percentage points. That's a big deal. So by all this early voting by the MAGA supporters, we're preempting any election theft narrative. There's lots of reasons for early voting, and we're going to go through several of them. Joe Lang again. Gotta wait for the page to load. I'm tired of saying that, but that's reality. Oh yeah, this is very important. This is very good news. This is the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, which is the most conservative appeals court in the U.S., just ruled that ballots must be received by Election Day, and state laws allowing them to arrive later are preempted by federal law. So now this only applies to the district where the Fifth Circuit, I believe it's in Alabama. But what does Joe Lang have to say? I believe this court decision is massive. The reason why this decision is so important and will be held up by the Supreme Court is this. This single decision just ended the Democrats' plan to keep printing and double counting fake ballots for a week in order to steal the election. But this decision does something much bigger. Remember, this federal court decision. It'll be the doorway to introduce a massive nationwide conspiracy to steal elections and take away the people's constitutional right to elect their representatives. Can you see what's happening? The table is being set to finally introduce evidence into a courtroom so that we can take down this entire corrupt system. I believe those 10 days of darkness are coming right after the election because this evidence of treason will not just expose it all, it will also trigger the justice phase. Our military has taken an oath for a reason, and they've been waiting for this moment to cleanse the enemy's insurgency. Remember how the Supreme Court refused to hear any case on the 2020 election fortification? Why was that? Because a lot of judges are probably blackmailed by, I don't want to say the word on YouTube, but CP. They can't avoid it now. The public is just on them. Let's continue here. George Behizzy on Twitter says, Trump just said he and Matt Gaetz have a little secret that's going to help Republicans win. So Marjorie Taylor Greene is concerned that Democrats are going to steal the House. Trump and Matt Gaetz have a little secret. They have they sleeve. A little secret is having a big impact. He and I have a secret. Well, I'll tell you what. Actually, let's let him say it. I never not wanted to know something more in my life. What can he be referring to? Now, we'll talk more about the secret later. Well, later, but what the actually Adrian Slade says, believe this nugget Gates dropped just before that from an underage sex offender. Matt Gates as a creep, as a human trafficker, as a pedophile. That just tells me where their minds are at. But what does Matt Gates say? Sorry, the wheels are spinning. Thanks for hanging on here. I know I don't have many live viewers, but this program is going to be kept up. So yeah, let's hear what General Flynn says. This is from Liz Crokin. I have mixed feelings about General Flynn because he has poo-pooed any involvement by the military. An example of the White Hat's permission to have secrets. Liz Crokin says, I wonder if Trump's secret has anything to do with this. Everyone's buzzing about how Trump said tonight he has a secret that will allow Republicans to take the Senate and do well in the House. In an interview that streamed almost a year ago to the date, October 26, 2023, General Flynn said that some members of the House and Senate are compromised by globalists who blackmailed them because they had sex with children. Coincidence? So let's listen. So I think it was Liz Crokin in one of my previous programs who said, could the mass casualty event be justice? Remember, Congress is preparing for what's called a mass casualty event, where lots of members of Congress might be injured or incapacitated or worse, and they might have to be replaced. Could the mass casualty event be a cleanup operation? Think about that. I told you I had good news. I told you I had a strategy. Maybe not my own, but let's go to Ariel, aka Proletario. Ariel has been General Flynn. He thinks General Flynn's a chaos agent, a false flag expert. Maybe Ariel's one of them. But Ariel does have good information here and there. And this is one of those examples. Ariel says, people, just so you know, when President D. Trump announced earlier today the asset seizures from criminal gangs and drug cartels, he was also talking about three-letter agencies and Big Pharma, right? Yeah, so Trump said, yeah, we're going to seize the assets of criminal organizations, of child traffickers. It's not just, there's more than one type, there's more than just a few criminal organizations and just the obvious gangs. There's the criminal syndicate. Restoration and restitution with government involvement to victims should have had your ears perk up. What other way would you describe the alphabet agencies and the current medical establishment? They're basically interchangeable when you look at how they behave. Now think about the other connotations when he mentioned restoring and creating a compensation program to the victims. Do you actually think that would be exclusive to just migrant crimes? We should all know by now Donald Trump likes to deliver messages that are multi-layered. Those affected by the illegal immigration is not a hardline issue within the confines of that problem that won't extend beyond the problem. Think much bigger than that. Yes, this includes Congress as well. So, Julie Green on Rumble, she talks to God. God says there's going to be a wealth transfer, and we're going to get back. The criminals are going to have to pay back sevenfold what they stole from the people. This could be it. We're almost done. Breitbart article. Poll. Record 67% of voters support deportations. So, yeah. Trump has won the border security argument. This is from October 18th, so this is, just think what it is now. A Fox News poll shows a record 67% support among registered voters for the deportation of illegal immigrants. Now, if it's a mainstream media poll saying 67%, you can bet it's a lot higher in reality. So, deportations are supported by 40% of liberals, 62% of Hispanics, 53% of blacks, 65% of moderates, and 86% of conservatives. The Fox News poll matches recent polls by Ipsos, Marist, YouGov, and Harvard Harris. Those polls show that almost 2-to-1 support for enforcing the nation's existing border laws that protect American drivers and families from poor migrants and from employers who cheat by hiring cheap foreign labor. So, yeah. I thought that was worth pointing out. MAGA is the new mainstream. Really, it's always been mainstream. We've just been afraid. We've just been abused and afraid of saying it. Come back to Patriots. Ariel pointed out. President Trump just announced that his administration will seize the assets of criminal gangs and drug cartels and use them to set up a compensation fund. Trump is a man of the American people. One last tweet, and then we'll wrap up. But I want to come to Brian Cates, because Brian Cates, I love reading his stuff. And then we'll wrap it up. The shit going on in several key counties in Pennsylvania, where they're trying to stop the voting early, shows you how much of a panic these corrupt county officials are in. They're even allowing Democrat activists to put on fake and try to trick voters into leaving the lines. We just watched that. Unlike 2020, we can both see and talk about exactly what they're doing in real time here on X, aka Twitter. We were not allowed to do that 4 years ago. This time, pictures of the fake election officials are going viral all over the country. 8 Live brand. It's also worth pointing out, Elon Musk is one of the biggest military contractors there is. He's got the military's ear. And he sees all of what's going on Twitter, where he has access to it. So, see something, say something. Now, if you don't trust the officials, if you don't trust the local law enforcement in your area, post your evidence on X. Let the people see it, let Elon see it, and therefore let the military see it. Intelligence is our best weapon. Our second best weapon is personal defense gear. I've been following a lot of gun tubers since the terrorist attack last year on October 7th in Israel. I bought a gun. Iraq Veteran 8888 on YouTube says the 3 best types of guns are a rifle, a pistol, and a shotgun. And the 3 best models are either, for a pistol, it's probably a Glock. The best shotgun option is probably either a Mossberg 590 or a Remington 870. And the best rifle is probably an AR-15. You can get an affordable, high-quality one, a Palmetto State Armory, or Smith & Wesson's AR-15 model, the M&P Sport 15. That's a good model, too. Pepper spray, fixed blade knives, or folding knife like this. That's easy to deploy. Like that. Don't start a fight. Only defend yourself if attacked. And probably just showing weapons off will stop a lot of violence and keep you safe. I say that again. Patriots don't start fights. Martial artists don't start fights. We end them. And we prevent them from even taking place by being prepared. So, I'll let you go. We're in the home stretch. If we can hang on until January 20th, we'll probably be okay. But be prepared. And I have resources for you to get prepared. So click on the links. Click on any of the links in the description, because I don't pick affiliate links just to make money. I choose products and services that I really believe will help my viewers. So take advantage, get prepared, and expose the evil works of darkness. I'm the Houseman, letting you go, and I want to let you know, more than ever, it's okay to stand up for yourself. Over and out.